You're watching PaperLoud, stories you can feel, questions that change you. Because every truth has a voice. We're in part 3 now, and this one is different. It's not just about seeing toxic patterns. It's about changing what you do when they show up. The first 2 parts made the dynamics visible, how guilt gets flipped on you, how closeness turns into a weapon, how expectations squeeze the air out of your chest. Today is about something quieter but stronger, small choices that put your life back in your hands. You might have your own apartment, your own job, your own routines, and still carry a voice that doesn't sound like you. Call more. Don't make a fuss. You owe us. Even when no one says it out loud anymore, the echo runs the show from the inside. That's how you know the pattern's stuck. This isn't about reliving old fights or hunting for villains. It's about clearing a path through the noise so you can hear your voice again. Steady, calm, honest. Let's keep it simple and useful. Pull out your phone or grab a piece of paper. Write down one sentence your inner critic throws at you when you feel pressured or guilty. Maybe it's, "You never do enough," or "You're too much." Now answer it as if you were talking to your best friend. You wouldn't say, "Yeah, you're a failure." You'd say, "Hang on, what's actually true here?" This is you externalizing the inner critic. You take the thought out of your head, put it where you can see it, and learn that it's not reality, just an old tape. Here's a real-life scene that hits home for a lot of people. Certain messages or calls always make your stomach drop. In the past, you wrote back instantly because not replying felt like disloyalty. Today, your first step can be surprisingly small. Don't answer right away. Give yourself 5 minutes, or an hour, or even a day. This small, not right away response creates distance between trigger and reaction. In psychology, that's called self-regulation. Distance isn't indifference. It's a technique to regain control. That pause is your first act of self-protection. It doesn't punish anyone. It protects you. You'll feel the pull to answer immediately. You'll hear the old script. If I wait, they'll be angry. If I wait, I'm ungrateful. But their reaction is their choice. Your pause is not disrespect. It's you choosing your timing, not theirs. That's how power starts to shift back. Language is another quiet lever. Many of us apologize by default. Sorry, 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 even when nothing wrong happened. For 1 week, count how often you say it automatically. Then, when it doesn't fit, swap it. Thanks for waiting instead of sorry, I'm late. That small rewrite shifts the frame from guilt to respect. You're not begging, you're acknowledging and moving on. Over time, those micro changes lay down new pathways in your brain. That's reframing in practice. And because I want this to land smoothly in your ear, I'll name these first exercises inside the flow so you don't have to stop and decode anything mid-sentence. First up, delay your reply. Remind yourself you don't need to respond immediately. Next, run a sorry check. Replace automatic apologies with thanks or neutral wording where appropriate. And a third, observe before judging. For 3 days, jot down which situations spike your stress without trying to explain or fix them yet. Just note them. The act of noticing without attacking yourself is already change. Silence deserves a moment of its own. In some families, silence is treated like respect, as if talking makes things worse. The truth, silence doesn't heal. It freezes pain where no one has to look at it. So once a week, try speaking one small truth. It doesn't need to be dramatic. That hurt me. I need a break. I need time. These little sentences are cracks in old cement, and light moves through cracks. Another tool that sounds cliche and works anyway. Talk to your younger self. Picture the age when you started carrying feelings that weren't yours. 8, 12, 15. Pick the one that shows up. Say out loud or write it, "You were never supposed to hold all of that. It wasn't your job to keep the peace." You're not erasing the past. You're teaching your nervous system that you're safe now, that the emergency is over. And while we're here, your body isn't being dramatic. If you grew up with chronic criticism, unpredictable moods, or emotional withdrawal, your stress system learned to brace for impact. That's why sleep gets weird. Thoughts loop at 2 a.m. The fuse feels shorter than it should. It's not a character flaw, it's an adaptation. The hopeful part? Brains and bodies learn. Safe relationships, therapy, breathwork, consistent routines, those aren't buzzwords. They're signals that tell your system we are okay. Over time, those signals stack up. A quick midway nudge. If you recognize yourself in this, don't carry it alone. Share this episode with someone who would get it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next step. Healing isn't about one big speech. It's a series of small choices, repeated until they become yours. Let's bring it back to everyday moments. The next time a text pops up and your chest tightens, borrow this sentence. "I'll get back to you later." Not an excuse, not a long explanation, a boundary that creates a little pocket of air. That pocket is where your clarity lives. From there, you can choose what you actually want to say. While you're learning to pause, try a quick body anchor. Hand on your chest. One slow breath in. One slow breath out. It seems basic, but your nervous system reads it as a safety signal. The mind quiets a bit, and once the volume drops, you can use language more cleanly. Speaking of language, here's a translation trick. When you hear "you're ungrateful," translate it internally to "right now, gratitude is being used as pressure." That mental swap puts responsibility back where it belongs, not on your worth, but on the other person's tactic. You respond differently when the weight is in the right place. If guilt is your default currency, try keeping a guilt journal for 1 week. Every time guilt shows up, write the situation in one line. Put a star where you're actually responsible. Put an X where the guilt was handed to you. Most people are stunned by the number of X's. The point isn't to judge yourself, it's to separate what's yours from what never was. When quiet feels like concrete, break it gently. Once a week, speak a small truth. That tone is too sharp for me. I need a day to think. You're not starting a war, you're building a bridge to yourself. And bridges, unlike cages, are built to carry you somewhere. If you want a practical trio to start today, here it is, all in one breath so your flow doesn't get chopped up. Delay your reply. Remember, you don't have to answer right away. Run a SorryCheck. Swap auto apologies for thanks or neutral wording when it fits. And observe before judging. For 3 days, list the moments that spike your stress without explaining them yet. These aren't flashy, they're powerful because they're repeatable. Now, boundaries. Please don't ask for permission to have them. State them. Not, "Please don't talk to me like that, it hurts," but "If you talk to me like that, I'm ending the conversation." See the difference? You're not begging for kindness, you're setting a condition for your participation. That's not cruelty, that's adulthood. People ask about distance a lot. Is it okay to go low contact? What about no contact? Look, it sounds radical, sometimes it is, but your mental health is allowed to be a priority. Low contact can be as simple as 1 call a week instead of daily check-ins. No contact is a bigger step and not always necessary. The point is, you decide access. That choice alone can calm a nervous system that's lived on edge. a strange-sounding tool with surprising power, the chair switch. Put two chairs facing each other, sit in one and say out loud what you've never been able to say. Then switch to the other chair and answer as if you were them. It's not about acting. It helps your brain sort roles and feelings you've been carrying both sides of. You might be shocked at the clarity that shows up. Write your way out of the old script, one line at a time. Start with, I'm no longer the child who, and finish the sentence as many times as you can. I'm no longer the child who keeps the peace at any cost. I'm no longer the child who apologizes for existing. Every line is a small cut through an old cord. Here are 3 everyday anchors to lift your self-worth without turning it into a project. First, the 5-minute list. In the morning, write 3 things you'll give yourself today: respect, quiet, joy. At night, check if you gave yourself even one. Second, the as if it were a friend filter. When your inner voice says something you'd never say to your best friend, it doesn't belong in your self-talk, period. And third, micro pauses. Before answering a pressuring message, stand up and grab a glass of water. That 10-second interruption can keep you from falling into an old reflex. Build counterexamples on purpose. Spend time with people who apologize and mean it, who help without sending a bill later, who hear no and still like you. Those moments are proof that healthy connection exists. Your brain needs proof to believe, so stack it. If you're thinking, what if they never change? Sometimes they won't. That's harsh, and it's also clarifying. Your freedom can't depend on their growth. It depends on your choices. Not because you're to blame, but because you get to decide how you respond, how you speak, how close you stand. One more truth from psychology. In plain words, your brain trusts what's familiar, even when it hurts. That's why new behavior feels risky. Safety doesn't come from silence. It comes from experiencing again and again that you can set a boundary and still be okay. Whether the other person calms down or leaves or reacts how they've always had. You remain. You breathe. You choose again. If this episode helped you see a way forward, send it to someone who might need the same light. Not to convince them, to remind them they're not the only one. Your story isn't locked. It isn't finished. You're allowed to write new chapters, not with perfect lines, but with steady choices that say, I matter. Keep the steps small and repeatable. Let the new pattern become the familiar one. Stay clear when guilt clings to you. Stay steady when old roles tug you back. And above all, stay honest with yourself, because that voice is home. See you next time. Take care.